I tell you what, I have the world's worst camera when it comes to just shutting off mid-video. It is making me crazier than I already am. This right here is a California Wonder Pepper, and it has its first little flower on it. These things, I planted one because I really love green bell peppers, and a lot of my family members can't even stand the smell of them. But I thought, well, I saw a video a few years ago about a homesteader who planted a California Wonder Pepper, and he managed to get 30 or 40 peppers per plant. And I don't know if this is an average thing for a California Wonder Pepper, but I was so impressed. I was like, hey, when I get a garden of my own, I'm definitely growing that, because if I just get one bell pepper for myself, I'll be so excited. And the cool thing about both bell peppers, jalapenos, and most tomatoes is that they're actually self-pollinating, and they're wind pollinated a lot of times. So if you shake them, the pollen just falls down the plant. And I do, whenever I feel like there's not enough pollinators and I get nervous, I will come out here and take a flower and pollinate the other flowers, just so I know I'm getting something.
Mama,
I especially do that with the tomatoes I want to save seeds from.
Tell them what this tomato is, and it's fully ripe.
This is a nothing special tiny cherry tomato from Lowe's. They actually don't even taste that great. I have some babies I'll show you later growing in the garden bed that just volunteered from the birds stealing the tomatoes, and I just let it happen because why not?
I'm gonna let this bird eat the tomato.
Yeah, let Mommy Mockingbird have the tomato. She'll definitely eat it. These are some more bunching onions growing. This little tiny bird, she's probably over there if you want to go over there by the fence line. She has a nest over there. You can just set it on the ground. This is a lemongrass, and it grows to be about 5 feet. They are just massive in height. They are massive in width, and I'm really impressed by them. These are just a couple pieces of my other lemongrass that I took off and stuck in here, and I'm excited to see it take over. I love taking the stems of lemongrass and cutting it out to the insides of the stem because it makes a really good tea. And I have a orange lemon tea inside that I really enjoy at night, and I put a little honey and I cut up the inner core of the lemongrass.
And these are the clippers we would use.
Yes, they are. And I put it in my tea, and it gives a really nice lemon hint, and it's supposed to be really good for the digestive system. These are all squash plants. I remember I made a video not too long ago, and I was like, hey, I'm planting a ridiculous amount of squash for no real reason other than I love squash and I want to see if it'll work. Hopefully they come up, and yeah, well, they came up, and now I see the error of my ways. All of that is squash. It's insane. These say that they are tri-basil. I saw them called by another name, and I just can't remember what it is, but they are so pretty. I have such a ridiculous amount of sweet basil, though. I have not actually tried cooking with this basil, and it is growing all over. There's one here, and it smells stronger than sweet basil. It's like sweet basil with a really spicy smell. I don't know how to explain it. It's almost like spicy Italian oregano and sweet basil had a baby. These are all baby carrots, and they're just randomly mixed carrots. There are some sweet Nance in it. There are some colored. I saw a white one earlier, so I know that they have some of the silver beet carrots mixed in. I'm super excited. I'm really into the silver beet of all kinds different. That's really cool. It probably fell off the leaves of one of these plants when it germinated.
Something already ate the inside.
This is another squash.
Something already ate the inside.
No, the inside is this plant right here. The seeds get stuck on the leaves as they grow and germinate, and then when the plant gets its true leaves, the seed just falls into the ground. It's pretty cool.
If you take off the seed, cook it, you're able to eat it.
I don't think you should eat the seed shell of a plant that's already grown. I don't know.
No.
This is a blue excuse me. It's a mystic salvia, commonly known as blue sage. And I love these. They are absolutely amazing. They are beautiful. they grow so well in our climate, and this is a baby. It will get triple this size in height and width and seed, and this bed will be covered in mystic salvia come next year. And there's so many amazing uses. Me personally, with my family's culture, sage is used to bless and clear rooms. It's also used in mourning, and blue sage in particular is really important to me. It's really important to my family, and it grows so easily here. It's overall, it has to be one of my favorite plants. Here is another tri-basil going to seed. Now this plant should be way bigger than this, but I did just buy a tri-basil because I saw it at HEB, which is just like the grocery store equivalent of Kroger's. It's just Kroger's,
Hey,
like
Mom.
Kroger's, but for
Do
Texas,
these seeds inside of a cherry tomato actually plant?
they do. Go look over there. There are a bunch of them.
I'm gonna put one.
And so I'd never seen one before, and I was like, psh, I'll just try it and plant it. And so that's what I did. And so this is just kind of what's happened so far. If I would have planted it in the right time before it started getting really hot, it probably would have been way bigger than that. Like our sweet basil is way bigger than that, and it's actually almost unusable because it's pretty much gone completely seed. Here are some more carrots. I know for sure that all of these carrots are different colors. There's a mix of dragon's blood carrot, which is kind of like a reddish purple. There are white carrots, there are yellow carrots. Carrots come in all different colors, and they are so good for you.
All have to be as big as little, just
I don't know.
big as this.
I'm not sure. Was a milk thistle, but we got the roots thinking, oh, let's plant this milk thistle because it has a lot of medicinal uses, and it's really good for a tummy ache and for colds, and I love it, but it never took off. I planted it, and it just must have been a bad set because
There we go.
it still looks the same as it did in the box. Luckily milk thistle grows wild here, so I can just harvest it whenever I want if I go into a field or anything.
Mommy, I put it. I'm burying it.
Good job. This is the orange Gerber daisy that
There, go.
Charlie actually took a cutting of all the flowers off. Gerber daisies are really amazing. They're really easy to grow. You just have to make sure that they're in the shade and have a water source because they'll go from healthy to wilting within an hour. No sugar!
Dog.
Oh no, go get sugar. This is bee balm, and it's a beautiful plant. It also has so many medicinal uses. I really need to make a video teaching everybody about the different uses of all of these plants. They are just so great, and there are so many things you can put them on, make salves out of, and I absolutely love that. Here's our rose.
Why don't you let Kale go play with Jackson?
Because we live in the city and he can't just play in the neighbor's yard. Please go get sugar. Our basset hound is about to be 8 months old, and he thinks our neighbor Sweeney dog should be his friend. The neighbor Sweeney dog does not agree though. And this is our rose. I love this. It's a peach tea rose, and I just take off of these flowers, and at the bottom of it is what they call the rose hips. It's where the seeds are stored, and you can use that, or you can use these petals and dry them. The wind is blowing them all over the place. And 98% of roses are actually edible. You can make jam out of them. You can make jelly out of them. You can make perfume. They're good for healing. There are so many amazing uses for them. Crazy sugar. Here is that white carrot I was telling you about. I don't know how much you can see, but it is definitely white, and that's really cool. This one's turning green because it's been exposed to the sun too much, which is not good. It's really cool. In this bed, I went ahead and I used compost to fill it up. I used like 2 or 3 inches of black mulch, and then I used compost, and I won't be doing that again because it compacted really hard. I remember watching a video about them saying, hey, the compost compacts, and I'm like, no, ours is done great, but our plants do look stunted. And then I came out here to dig a hole to plant the salvia that I got, and sure enough, the plants were definitely stunted because the soil was so compacted. I had a hard time even reaching my hands into it to dig out a hole, and that's just sad. So I think I'll use coco coir or something to mix with the soil, probably dig most of this out after this garden season is over, and mix something like coco coir or something in it to loosen up the soil and make it easier to plant the winter plants in here. I may even let it rest for the winter. Yes, sir.
Can I go ask Tiffany when are the what are them called? The church stuff that we do at Tiffany's house?
Yeah, you can ask her, but come right back.
Wait, what's it called?
Bible study. Yeah. Okay, so here you can see it's extremely hard to press my hand into. It's just, it is a mess. Now, these are San Marzano tomatoes, and they've done so well. Despite the weather constantly changing, both of these babies just showed up. This one just showed up, noticed today, but this little one's just a few days old, and it's already getting really big.
Mama, what are these neighbors' names again across the street?
I don't remember. This one's also a fairly new tomato. We have new neighbors, and everyone's super excited to meet them and super interested in them, but I am horrible with names, so I cannot remember. I can't even call my own kids by their right names half the time, to be honest. Here's another San Marzano tomato.
How long is this video gonna be?
I don't know. Longer if you keep asking me crazy questions. Kids are super curious, guys. Remember that stage when we were all kids and we were like, why? And our kids are like, I can't wait until you have kids. And they ask you why 10 times more. And I love answering why, which is why my kids are currently being homeschooled. But when you have 4 kids, yeah, it's a lot of whys in one day. So this is a San Marzano tomato. It's super healthy. I'm really impressed with these. I definitely think that I'll be saving seeds from them. The problem is that I actually cut one of these open because a couple came ripe during the rainstorm, and there's hardly any seeds in them. They're a really meaty tomato. There's not a lot of juice. There's not a lot of seeds. Here are some babies that just volunteered here.
Is this saliva?
I think that's a rock, sir. This is doing really well, and these are actually San Marzano tomatoes that are almost ripe. They're doing really well, and so I'm gonna, hopefully none of the birds or squirrels come out here and take bites out of them or peck them. That's what happened to the last ones.
Or
take them. You can see where someone's been pecking at them. We have a mommy mockingbird and her babies that likes to fly over here from across the yard and take everything. And honestly, she's actually reseeded a few plants by doing that. But I'll definitely try to post a video of where the tomatoes turn red so you can see them. Lily, if you're watching this, convince Mom to help let you grow tomatoes whenever you move. I'll send you a tiny plant. She won't have a choice but to say yes. So, guys, Lily's my niece, and she loves watching my videos, which I'm super excited about. So,
what?
I'm just so impressed with these. Here's another tiny San Marzano. Here's another one. I did not even notice these were here until just now. So now you see how little they are and how fast they grow. So hopefully I'll be able to come out here every other day or so and take a video so you can see just how insanely fast they grow. This is our curly leaf parsley, and it is massive. I keep thinking it's cilantro because honestly, it looks similar at first and it tastes a lot like cilantro. It's really funny, but it's not. It's parsley. Cilantro is actually a crop that I only grow in the winter because it does a lot better in the cold than it does in the heat. If you're wondering, this hose that's actually all throughout my garden is an automatic water. I thought it would be a great idea to get the hose. I got like $30 for 100 feet and about 20 different hookups that come with it to connect in all different ways, and then discovered that it really doesn't water the entire garden, and I don't have a small garden. This garden's over 300 square foot, and so it holds a lot of plants and it just doesn't get in the center. This is a watermelon. That's a watermelon. The idea was that they would germinate and grow to cover all of this, but it's been really cold and rainy, and watermelons do not like the cold. These are specifically bought for the heat, and they hate me, and they hate the garden right now. But they've actually almost doubled in size within the last 2 days, so hopefully they'll continue to do so. This is a chocolate mint plant, and yes, the plant absolutely smells like an Andes mint. It very much reminds me of chocolate, but it doesn't taste like it. It's good. It is pepperminty. It is not chocolatey at all. Sugar, come home. Come on. Come on. Come on, bad boy. Come on. This is I know this. I'm just blanking out. It is sweet basil, and it is pretty much fully flowered. You can see when they flower, pretty much all of the leaves disappear, and they get these flower stalks, and then all of these little white flowers open all the way down, and they just start seeding all over the place. And as they seed, it just dies off. So once it gets hot, basil goes to seed pretty quickly. The cool thing is that these will actually produce a ton of baby basil, and when fall comes, there will be little baby basils filling in this entire garden bed, which I'm super excited about. These are chives, and this one I haven't cut anything from in about 3 weeks, so it's actually getting really long and kind of lays like a spider plant would. So I kind of want to let it go. They produce these really gorgeous purple flowers that are pretty and edible. So if you see flowers on your chives, you absolutely can eat those. And I recommend it. They're really pretty in salads too. And here are a bunch of the little baby tomatoes that I was telling you volunteered. I'm pretty sure this is from that little Lowe's container tomato, but I really don't know 100%. Hi. This is our spicy Italian oregano, and it's absolutely amazing. Just a little bit of this plant goes a long ways. The flowers smell amazing. If I take this little cluster of flowers right here into my house, my entire kitchen's gonna smell like this basil. And it just spreads out, and you can take a little piece of it, have roots on it, and put it in the ground, and it'll re-root really easily. And it seeds really easily. Here is the orange Gerber daisy off of that plant that I was telling you guys about over there, that it was the Gerber daisy. Charlie got my plant clippers and wanted to help trim plants, and he never gets the stems off, which is unfortunate, but they're so pretty, and they make such a pretty cut flower. The only problem is they wilt faster than anything. But they actually look like a miniature midnight sunflower, but more of orange. And so I'm thinking maybe miniature sunflowers would be really good. They have one that's called the Mexican red sunflower, and it's a little bigger than a daisy, and it's amazing. It's like the fire of a red sun. I'm so impressed with this tomato still being alive. I wish it did taste better. I think out of 50 tomatoes we've picked off of it, maybe one actually even had a hint of sweet, but guys, it wasn't impressive at all. I'll show you real fast. We actually got this little tree. It's a loquat tree. It produces little fuzzy yellow fruits that are somewhere between sweet and sour. I actually really enjoy them. I'm not big on fuzzy fruits like peaches, but these are actually really good. You have to be careful not to eat too many of the seeds though, because the seeds are a little poisonous, kind of like apple seeds are. But realistically, it takes a ridiculous amount of seeds to eat to make you sick. So if you plant a seed of a loquat, you're going to talk about like 10 years before it actually produces fruit. But these are store-bought, and they were a gift from my mom. There's actually 2 of them, and so I'm hoping that they do really well. I'm really excited They're already a solid 3 feet tall. I'll walk over here and show you this loquat. It's also a solid 3 feet tall. This one's actually probably closer to 4 feet. And it's already taking off and growing really fast. I'm really impressed with how great these are doing. Over here, I also have an apple tree. It's one that's actually native to Jerusalem, and that's really important to my faith. So it's a really important apple tree for me. The unfortunate part is that I don't actually know how to properly pronounce the name. So I'm going to Google that, put it on speaker so I can actually hear the proper pronunciation, and then tell you. Pronouncing things is not the easiest thing for me. I was actually in speech therapy well into my sophomore year of high school, so I have a tendency to stutter and say things incorrectly, and I have to correct myself a lot. Unfortunately, I'm afraid that this apple tree may have rust on it, which is a fungal disease that apple trees get, and if that's the case, I'm going to try to treat it, but a lot of the times, from my experience, they don't treat well. This tree was a good 10 feet tall, and my husband accidentally snapped the main stem right off the top, and I let it grow because I'm so in love with this tree. But if it's just another thing and it doesn't get better, I'm just gonna have to say goodbye to it, because it can spread to my crabapple tree, it can spread to the loquat trees. I can't touch the other plants after I've touched it. It's definitely something that you don't want spread all over your garden. So if I'm unable to treat it successful and it gets worse, unfortunately, I'm going to have to burn the plant. This is pineapple sage. Or no, excuse me. This is pineapple mint. And I'll use my other hand. And it actually sometimes has variegated leaves. And I thought it was really cool. It's like, oh, pineapple mint. I've never seen this before. And then I tasted it. And it tastes like mint at first, but kind of a weird taste. And then all of a sudden, about 3 minutes later, it tastes like orange peel. So this may be your thing, but I'm not really sure who got the great idea to mix toothpaste and orange juice and make it into a mint plant, because actually it's kind of a terrifying creation. And everyone that I've had try it is totally grossed out by it. But I don't know, maybe it's a cruel sense of humor, but I find it slightly entertaining. It is a gorgeous plant, but I don't know what to do with it because I absolutely despise the leaves. Give his glasses back, buddy. So there's so much other stuff to show you, but the boys just don't want to let me be, and the sun's setting at a really weird angle, and Sugar wants to act out and harass our poor neighbors. We do live in the city. This is an urban homestead, so it's really difficult to work around the noise pollution here, the closeness of our neighbors, and everything else. But I do appreciate you tuning in. One day I'll get my new camera fixed, or my old camera fixed. That way I can be able to turn my camera around both directions. Right now I'm using my phone until my camera arrives, and it is not the kindest to me. So I hope you're able to enjoy and learn something, and I appreciate you tuning in, and I look forward to seeing you next time.